Let's take a look at the student ADT. A student ADT is in your source code zip file, and is connected or is kind of interacting with these other two classes. Academia is the driver, and then there is a child called student athlete. Let's take a look at the actual code. You can click over here, and that will take you to the actual web page where you have information. And here is the activities. The activities is pretty much what you see here, but I kind of put the code over here so it's easier for you to look at it. So it's asking you to have a good description, include the name of instance fields, with the ADT has constructors, the method's purpose, and names. So technically, all you're doing is looking at the student ADT and talk about that. And so here is my instance fields, and you recognize them because you know why, right? Yes, correct. Yes. Also because they're not defined inside any of the methods. If they were in this defined inside the method, that means that you couldn't access from anywhere else except the method itself, and that will become a local variable. Instance fields are not local variable. Instance field means they're the fields from each instance of that class. And when we say instance of a class, we're talking about an object of the class of the ADT. You have to talk about the methods. Well, this is the constructor, include the constructor. What are the arguments that the constructor takes? Why are they used? What do we need to use? Why do we need input arguments? So when you talk about all these things, I want you to think about what I'm just saying. Why do you need this? Why do you need the student name and the courses? How is this connected to the instance fields? It might be very obvious to you, but I want you to actually just say it in few words. I don't want to have a whole, book on that. So here's the toString method that I talk about it since I don't know when. The toString method, we saw it the previous class when the author of the book talked quite a lot about it. And again, a toString method is one of those methods that you can just, that will actually be called by default when you print the object. So if you create an object of student, let's say student A, if it's a system out print line student A, it will give you this information. All of this that was built on this string called result, which is the number of classes. I'm sorry, let's go back. The student name, the actual text with the value of the student name, and then it's going to be actually appending, concatenating the number of classes, and here is the num of courses. And num of courses is right here, and it was input, or it was given that information, or passed that information, I should say, from the argument list of the constructor in here. Remember, toString is one of those methods that inherited from the object class, object with uppercase O. So the next thing is I want you to describe the child class. Child class is called student athlete. So the student athlete has to be inheriting stuff from the parent class. He is using the keyword extends. That tells you that a student athlete is a child of a student. And that means that it has more specific features. And when I say features, could be behaviors and attributes. Different or adding to Yeah, I would say different than the parent class student. For example, right here we have a sport. You do not want to have an instance field called either name or number of courses, because then you will be doing what we talked about earlier, which was called shadowing. So the child class is only adding more information, more data to the parent class. What about the constructor? Well, remember, the student ADT constructor is is asking for two pieces of information: the student name and the courses. That means that the child has to supply that requirement, that information. It is a requirement because it will fail. You will get an error message at compilation time, not even at runtime. It's going to happen. It will happen right away. It will require information that the actual constructor of the parent needs. And right here, there you go. You have you pass that information from the constructor from the student athlete. As you can see, you have these two over here will be information supplied to the parent constructor, and then you have something specific of the athlete ADT. How do we pass that information to the parent constructor? Well, we use the keyword super, and it should be the first line in the constructor of the child class. And then we say that the sport, because here is my instance field for the specific instance field for the student athlete. We can have let's say, I don't know, academic athlete, and it has something totally different. So all these different children will be different from each other in some aspect, but they will all share something in common. And here's the two-string method that is being overwritten one more time. What about the driver class? Take a look over here. The driver class has a student. It also has a student athlete. And so I'm asking you to add more to it. So student is in your source code that you got. Let me see, where did I put that? I have it somewhere in here. I think I created by itself. So you need to add to create or add to your project and do the other, add more information to it, more members of the ADT. Accesses and mutator methods. And in the driver, make sure that you show the changes that you had made and the features that you got added to it in action. Okay? Bye for now.